Previously on TKK versus DSP. From equally the east side and the west side, I grew up on 6 Mile and Davidson. I grew up on Joy Road and Dexter. Simultaneously, even dating back 10 years, 11 years from the TKK versus DSP set, you know, online was a thing kicking for years, you know. Online has been a big thing, you know, where you could play in the comfort of your home and you can recklessly talk shit. And you know what I'm saying? You can hone your skills and be comfortable playing in your draws and, you know, et cetera. You know, I come from a time where, you know, you had to man up and you had to watch how you beat the dude that was next to you, because you beat dog the wrong way, motherfucker might steal on you. You know what I'm saying? And it was really like that in the D. Just when I am playing Street Fighter 3 to execute a bread and butter combo with Ken to a super, it sounds like this. Just like that. When I am executing a bread and butter combo with Ryu on Street Fighter 4, it sounds like this. It sounds just like that. That's crossover forward, down short, down jab, sweep. Here's third strike again. So much smaller execution window, and that shit just pissed me the fuck off with how easy that game was to my series. Yo, what up, dope, man? So welcome to episode 2, and let me tell you, we definitely on one tonight. Drink responsibly. If you're gonna have a sip now, I don't know why you would, because if you're Eastern, Central, or on the West Coast, I'm probably gonna post this in the morning time. Let me mix this thing up. That pure white, that pour good. Let me just give a thank you to the people that supported episode 1, left comments, likes, you know, hit me up in on my social media. I got Instagram rocking right now. My Facebook is down, to give me a little bit of a notice that, you know, you tuned in. Drink with Link, drink responsibly. Yeah, so let me tell you, we on one. And now that I've opened this video up pretty much with a recap of episode 1, as well as me turning on Street Fighter 4 for the first time in I don't know how long. I had to install the game on the PlayStation 4, so I jumped right into doing the combos in the clip that you had just seen, and then third strike. Even looking back at that, and I recorded that yesterday. I just noticed the intensity in my face, you know, when I was playing third strike. So. The big comparison there really is not to knock Street Fighter 4, just because it actually is a really good game. And so when I initially turned the game on to kind of record that clip, I immediately appreciated the way it felt, because the last Street Fighter that I played was obviously 5, right? And it's even been many months since I played Street Fighter 5. But just moving the mobility and everything of Ultra Street Fighter 4 feels really fluid. But the point that I want to jump back on, and it's how I ended episode 1, was the tide that we were on in terms of what was happening on YouTube was that, you know, you had a lot of players that were playing Street Fighter 4. It was no questions, and the easiest, or one of the easiest, yet most popular Street Fighter games ever. You know what I'm saying? And so when I first got my hands on it, I was just like, man, I couldn't get into it. It felt like it was just really dumbed down. And like I said, I have a very stubborn mentality. So, you know, I didn't immediately jump right to the game, although I had a community of people who were playing the game, I had life going on, right? So where we are at this point is TKK is not doing any tournaments, hasn't for years. And so, I'm kind of settled down, living that home life, married, kids, all of that jazz. And so I'm looking at YouTube. I remember this as clear as day. One day I'm chilling in the dojo. I got the dojo set up, and I'm just looking on YouTube, and I'm looking up Street Fighter 4 matches because I'm to a point where I'm actually interested in the game. I'm seeing some depth. They had the big ass GameStop tournament national thing, so the game had a lot of coverage. So I was starting to feel like I was missing out on something. So I started looking up all these YouTubers. I'm seeing Dayasha, I'm seeing Lupasan, I'm seeing Free One Up. I'm seeing all of the guys that, if you've been around that long or if you research, you'll see these guys who maybe still play, don't play, I don't know. But I'm seeing all these dudes, and I'm like, yo, these little niggas is getting busy. Now, mind you, I'm older than all these guys, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, they getting busy on here. They doing sets, and it's a whole community. Or at least it looked like there was a bunch of broken structures. I don't know. That's the best way that I can put it, because there was nothing really linking these guys together. But you had a bunch of people that just seemed like they were all trying to do something similar. You know what I'm saying? And I did respect and appreciate that, because I was like, yo, this is something I hold near and dear. And none of these dudes were nice. Free One Up's from Michigan. He's not a Detroiter. He was never played, nothing competitively. That's not a shot at him or anything like that. But it's so crazy how someone can be so popular and be from the same area as I'm from. And I never ever heard of him. And that was just really weird to me. But you had all the dudes that Dayasha was from up north. I think Lupasan might have been from down south where I'm from now, because I know he lives in Florida. And I live in Florida now. And then you had Dark Knight. You had just a bunch of different dudes that was doing a thing. And so I started to take Street Fighter 4 more serious. Because now I'm seeing there's a community. Obviously online was banging. The GameStop thing was ingenious, because it definitely hyped it up. It got people interested in learning how to do competitive play or wanting to gauge in competitive play. And so what I started to do was I just started to train. I mean, I'm working. I can't afford the time to try to get into local tournaments or anything. So the online scene was something that I jumped into, right? So I had a YouTube channel. I started recording ranked matches, and I started posting those matches. And I'm like, man, you know what? I need to get like some sets with these dudes or whatnot. And I remember sending a message to Dayasha, because YouTube had a system where you could direct message people, and so dude never shot back or nothing, like never wanted to do anything. And like he responded, but I don't remember exactly what the discussion was, but it was to no luck. I couldn't get a match with him. I tried to get a match with who else did I try to get a match with? It was a dude named Lupasan. I ended up getting the first to 5 with him. And there was a couple other people that I tried to get matches with, but I just couldn't get them guys to really buzz. You know what I'm saying? So what I did was I ended up getting a set going with Free One Up, and that turned out to be a really good thing, because it was an opportunity from that perspective of that kind of like social media. It gave me a lot of coverage, just because the way the sets were ran was, hey, we'll both record, you'll post, and I'll post. So fans and viewers, they'll be able to get your perspective and my perspective. Well, obviously, with the background that I have, which I explained on video 1, my perspective of these sets were always going to be, in my opinion, the most superior. And it had nothing to do with like video quality, but it had a lot more to do with my approach towards how I did my YouTube, right? My channel, what I offered on my YouTube was for you to see decent to high level play from a person who was learning things from scratch. No tournament experience with Street Fighter 4 whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And what I would do is I would turn the camera on and I would train myself. And I would call it training sessions, right? I would pick a character. I would go into a matchup and I would just discuss everything that I was thinking at that time, right? And so when we have these sets, just jumping back to the point, when we have these sets, versus me versus whomever, you get a lot of comedy and randomness from, another person's perspective. Let me just use Free One Up for an example. But with TKK side of the story, you're hearing about what I'm planning, how I am downloading my opponent, how I am trying to condition my opponent, what kind of setups I'm trying to go for. I'm talking about my end game, all of these different things, you know what I'm saying? And that's what made my product more pure, more raw, more potent than everybody else shit. I don't care how important or how popular they were, man. That's what made my content so liquid, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I seen that they were missing, right? Was that piece right there. But I got the set with Free One Up, and it was really good. It was entertaining, just because he's a comical person, so you got to kind of see, just look at it. And I think those matches may be up on his page still. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. But you got to see him be shocked at what he was experiencing playing me, because we didn't do any pre-matches or nothing like that, and we never met, we never played each other. It was just a raw set, you know what I'm saying? And then from my side, it was just like, I was just like, yeah, I knew it. I just knew that was the bridge to get me to this motherfucker that I needed to get to. And playing Free One Up most certainly opened those doors, right? Because what happened after I beat Free One Up was I started to get more views on my channel. Certainly I started to get more subscribers. But ultimately I started to get the attention from other people that I could not get to play me initially. You know what I'm saying? I was getting a lot of those names that were not, acknowledging me for a set. I started to get offers like, hey man, you want to get some sets in? And, a lot of dudes, were hitting me up. And I had this one dude, and I have to share this with you, man, because this really ties this link for DSP up. And I want to let you guys know right here, throughout this series, and this series isn't going to be like 10 videos, but throughout this series, we are going to recap watching. We're going to actually watch, with me having the video of me playing DSP in the background. We're gonna go over some of those matches together, and I'm gonna tell you some of the things that I was thinking. And to tie this all in, I'm gonna just kind of bring a conclusion to this. But I want to get to this point right here where I had a subscriber. He was damn, that pure white is good. He was number 200 on my YouTube to subscribe to me. And brother from the UK actually created some content for me, did some drawings for me. And to this day, I still can reach out to dude and talk to him. I really, really appreciate it. I'm not going to drop his name on here, but he was the one that really tied that set in for me. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, man, you should play with this guy. I follow this guy. I'm a fan of this guy. He was like, hey, man, I've sent him messages before he's responded to me. And I was like, hey, man, if you think you can play Don King and, get this shit together and get it going, go right ahead, my man. Let me know. And sure enough, I gave him the green light to make the effort. He said, hey, man, I talked to him. He going to hit you up. And boom. 2 days later, DSP is in my freaking YouTube inbox. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm excited. Let me tell you. I mean, because I'm like, I'm so excited because I'm such a nerd at this point with YouTube. I'm like, this is not anything that I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? I never really, as I said in video one, I'm a bit antisocial. So I don't put myself in random communities and crowds because there's just a lot of weird shit I don't like being around, right? And so I was more comfortable with interacting with these random people this way. So this was something new and fresh to me. And so I was excited, man. I remember telling my ex-wife, I'm like, yo, man, I'm about to get this set with this dude. I'm going to beat his ass. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I told her, I was like, we had conversations about, how important I knew this would be. Because I'm like, yo, this motherfucker is popular. This dude, every video he posts getting like 6,000, 7,000 views. Every video. And he doing all game shit. And I'm like, when he do the Street Fighter videos, the motherfuckers is hitting like 8, 9 racks of a video each. So I'm like, I know my shit gonna be jumping after I whoop this dude. So I told her, and I was like, cause she had went to like tournaments and shit and seen me play. So she know I was with the shits with Street Fighter, you know what I'm saying? A real competitive dude. But I told her, I was like, I have to hustle this motherfucker. I was like, so when we talked, when I spoke to DSP, when I actually replied to him, I did it in a very, I was respectful, but I was kind of really just trying to make it come off as if I wasn't really like hard at the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I was tight with it, but I didn't want him to come off like that because he was like, "Hey man, I see it was a message I'm reading, but listening to him talk, it was kind of like, hey, I seen you had the match with Free One Up, and he said he thought, hey man, it'd be interesting. He was like, one of his subscribers said I should play him, and he thought it would be cool for the channel and everything. And I was like, shit, yeah, dog, let's do it. And so we set a date for that shit, and I think the date was probably out like a week. You know what I'm saying? From when we had actually spoke. So he sent me a message. I responded like a day later, and then I had got a message back like that evening from him, and then we kind of set it up like to be like 4 or 5 days, almost like a week after we had the conversation on that we were gonna actually play. And so, I'm having so many scenarios run through my head about what this set is gonna be for me and my YouTube channel, and because at this time I'm actually trying to take it serious, man. I'm putting out quality content. Like I feel like my content was better than everybody's content on YouTube with Street Fighter 4. Like honestly, I feel like I feel like I had the absolute most organic, original Street Fighter 4 page. I'm not talking about with the most subscribers that's sharing the videos that got the top players. I'm talking about like the regular dude, you know what I'm saying? That's from the hood. You know what I'm saying? That got the J's, got the nice car, you know what I'm saying? Got kids he take care of, and motherfucking sweet with Street Fighter. And he like for real OG, like triple OG with that shit from the beginning. I had that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, yo, this is gonna be dope. This is what I wanted. I've had a YouTube channel at this point for like 3 years, and the only content I had initially was just random shit that we was doing, with the homies in the D, the interviews and things like that. And then when I started, I'm at this townhouse and I ain't in the streets, and I'm just, going to work and coming home and going to work and coming home. I'm putting these videos up, and these videos, they ain't really getting many views. And, back then, your videos can only be like 10 minutes. So it was really, really an organic space to be in to create content. So I was putting a lot into my content, and I just wanted it to be appreciated because I ultimately felt like I had something to offer that community. And I felt like that was really a foundation, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like it paved a way for so many people, you know what I'm saying? Just the way that I laid it out. It was really a big thing. So that fight, man, I just knew that it was going to be like a big ass deal. And I was just super excited for that, man. But the next video that we get into, because I want to try to keep these at like 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. The next video, we're going to be just going right into preparations for the set, and as well as I'm going to actually cover some gameplay. Actual gameplay, meaning I've already ripped the videos from his perspective. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the dual PC set up like I do right now. And I'm going to have it where I'm just like playing the matches and telling y'all what I was thinking and everything like that. Because I had this like, this whole thing was just completely orchestrated. Like I'm like, yo, I gotta touch this dude and touch this dude and touch this dude so I can get to this dude. You know what I'm saying? And my whole thing, and I'm gonna say this to close this out, was that I was like organically like in love with Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like historically forever. And so what I was looking at on YouTube, I was just seeing a lot of novice players just going into it, and then the biggest of those players was DSP, and I felt like people were holding him to the standard. You had a lot of new players, the K Brass, the Rico Suaves, all of these dudes were completely in infancy with playing fighting games, and so these dudes looked at DSP because he's the most popular, he's the biggest, and they were looking at him as like, hey, yo, this is even if they felt they could beat him or knew they could beat him, he was still being perceived as like the guy to set the tone as to what good was. And I couldn't have it.